Hello, this is Ali Biko. I hope you are doing well. In this episode, we will be talking about one of the important elements of the second back program. And in this video, we're going to talk about how to write an advantages and disadvantage essay. So in particular, we're going to consider the current situation of quarantine. So we're going to talk about the pros and the cons of quarantine. So as everybody knows, in the writing section, you will be asked to write a discursive essay. You will be given a question asking you to give your own opinion, discuss a problem or an issue. You could also be asked to provide the solutions, evaluate a problem, compare and contrast different ideas, different places, and different people. You can also write a film or a book review or a report of an event that you have attended recently, and also you can be asked to write a cause and effect essay, an email, be it formal or informal, or a letter. So in this video you will be dealing with how to write an advantages and disadvantages essay, and as I say, the topic today will be about quarantine. So before writing any paragraph or any essay, you should bear in mind that there are certain steps that you have to go through. That means you have to structure your essay. It means the more you structure your essay, the better it is and the better it looks like. So as you know, any essay should include an introduction and of course a body and the conclusion. So what do we write in an introduction? So in the introduction, you start with paraphrasing the question, and then you introduce the specific advantages and disadvantages that will be discussed in the body. And when I say the body, it means two paragraphs. One paragraph should be about the advantages, and the second paragraph should be about disadvantages. Sometimes you can have more than one. More than two paragraphs. It depends on how many ideas you are dealing with. So in the second part, which is the body, now we are talking about the body, and here I'm going to stick to only two paragraphs, one about advantages and the other one is about disadvantages. So in the first paragraph in the body, you should introduce the advantage in a topic sentence. I'll explain this later on. And once you state the topic sentence, you should explain and give more details, and also you should back up your ideas with an example. For the second paragraph, you should also state the topic sentence, which is introducing the disadvantages, and explain and give more details and illustrate with an example if possible. In the conclusion part, you just summarize the main ideas. You wrap up the whole thing and you mention one of the most important points in your essay. So remember to follow these procedures and steps while writing your essay. So we're going to elaborate more on how to write each part of the essay. Let's start with the introduction. So I said at the beginning you have to paraphrase the question you are given. So what do I mean by paraphrasing the question? So simply I mean that you should rewrite the question in your own words using synonyms and other vocabulary items. So you can't just copy the question and use it as it is. You have to paraphrase and show your potential in writing using English. Then once you rephrase the question, your next sentence should introduce the essay. For example, in my essay, I'll be talking about advantages and disadvantages of, okay, and you mention the issue. Or you can say my essay will be about, okay, or discuss. My essay will discuss the following things, alright, the advantages and as well as disadvantages. To use, for example, an alternative to paraphrase the advantages and disadvantages, there are many other words you can use. For example, you can use benefits and drawbacks, positive points and negative features, pros and cons, good and bad aspects. So all these expressions mean exactly the same thing. Paragraph number 2, okay, which is in the first part of the body, which is in which we're going to talk about the advantages of the issue. So in this paragraph, you should describe the main advantage, right? So first thing first, you should start the paragraph by introducing the main advantage. And this is exactly where you have to write a topic sentence at the beginning of a paragraph, right? You promise the reader what you are going to talk about next. And then the next sentences are just, they are called supporting sentences. Their job is to explain and give more detail. And then you have to support your sentences with an example, with an illustration, all right? Okay, the example you give could be something from your own experience or something that you can make up. So it's okay if you make things up in writing. As I said, it's very important to show your ability to use English in writing. So this is how your paragraph should look like. So you have to introduce the advantage in a topic sentence, and you give an explanation, you give more details, and you illustrate with an example. The same steps should be followed in the second paragraph in the body. So just this paragraph talks about disadvantages, as you can see in the picture here. So in this paragraph, you should also write the main disadvantage, and you start your paragraph by introducing the disadvantage, and this is what you need to write another topic sentence for the second paragraph. And the next sentences are just supporting sentences, and you can add another illustration or example. So the same thing, your paragraph should be like introducing the disadvantage topic sentence, and then explain and give more detail as well as an example if there is any. Conclusion. So in the conclusion, what do? You write a conclusion in which you give a summary of your main points. You just wrap up the whole thing and you mention the most important, whether they are good or bad aspects, and then you should not include any information or ideas in your paragraph. It means you should not just bring ideas outside the paragraph and put them there. So you have to rephrase, you have to state again using different words what you have been talking to, what you have talked about in your previous paragraphs. Sometimes you can end up your conclusion with a balancing statement in which you mention that the number or the advantages outnumber the disadvantages or vice versa. It's just a balancing statement. This is not very necessary. You can do without it. So remember, in the conclusion you make a summary of the main points, and you write what you think were the most important pros and cons. Okay, is that all? No, there are a lot of things, other things that you should put into consideration while writing. So you should write with correct grammar, so your grammar should be correct, and also punctuation. You have to use the punctuation marks in the right place, and you should capitalize what should be capitalized, and also using related vocabulary, okay, and a variety of vocabulary items, and also cohesive devices, linking words and conjunctions. So I put forward a chart that will help you write, okay, when you are linking ideas together. So if you want to emphasize an idea, you use one of these, or you can use more than one. If you want to add an information or an idea, if you are contrasting or comparing two different things, and if you are listing ideas, you can use these ones in green. Now let's write. Okay, we're going to write a sample paragraph. I'm going to show you how you write one paragraph and finally we can have a complete work, okay, in which we talk about the introduction, the body, and the conclusion. So we're going to start with the prose of the issue, and the issue is we're talking about coronavirus lockdown. And what do we mean by lockdown? We simply, it's quarantine or confinement. So these are some of the ideas I have put forward for you to help you write a paragraph about advantages. So one of these advantages is that you can read all those books you know you should read. You get on with private study. That means e-learning, studying from home, and also you should learn a new language. You can help to get the house clean and tidy. You do some decorating. Maybe you decorate your bedroom, take up a new skill, maybe drawing, painting, knitting. If there's an old musical instrument like a guitar or a piano in your house, get it out and learn how to play it. If you have a garden, redesign it, or just get out into the garden and listen to the birds. When you are out on your permitted exercise trip, you can clean up later. You can also offer to help an older person if it's safe. And also you should keep up with your social media. You can watch your favorite TV series or classical movies, and most importantly, you stay safe at home. These are some of the advantages that I can think of. You can come up with other ones. Right, the second paragraph of the body. Okay, I'm going to present some of the ideas I have thought of. So you cannot. So these are disadvantages of staying home, or staying home is something different. So we're talking about quarantine, right? Quarantine, it's total isolation. It means you don't have the right to go outside unless it is an urgent matter. So you cannot meet up with your friends or visit family. You cannot go to school. You cannot go to the beach, and you cannot go on long trips to the countryside. You cannot play games outdoors. You cannot go to concerts, clubs, and also you are not allowed to do the gym in fitness centers, and you are not allowed to attend sport events, and you cannot eat out, visit cafes and restaurants. And also some of the disadvantages of staying home because of quarantine is that there are more domestic problems and quarrels in the house, and also the economy of the country slows down. Okay, so now I'm going to show you one of a sample essay on quarantine, okay, which I have written for you. Alright, so we're going to go one by one and explain some of the techniques, and also we're going to follow the same steps I have mentioned earlier. So paragraph number one: it's the introduction. So this is the introduction. Quarantine is an old response to new threats in most parts of the world. These days, most countries are in quarantine because of the rapid spread of COVID-19. So what benefits and drawbacks can this lockdown bring with it? So as you can see, I have talked about quarantine in general, right? Like a definition, and I relate the quarantine to the current situation, to the viral infection of COVID-19 in most countries, and Morocco is no exception. And the last sentence. This is what I'm going to write about. So I'm going to write about the benefits and the drawbacks. The benefits of drawbacks of what? Of lockdown. Here I mean by lockdown, it simply means quarantine, confinement. Paragraph number 2, look, it's in green, so I'm going to talk about advantages, right? This paragraph is about advantages only, so you cannot write advantages and disadvantages in one paragraph. No, you have to split things apart, right? So this is the second paragraph. Quarantine is advantages in several ways. First, it is one of the safest ways to get away from being contaminated. Quarantine involves separating infected and possibly infected people from the rest of the population to prevent the disease spread. Another benefit of quarantine is that there is less traffic and less pollution in the air. The earth is really quiet and breathing fine. Moreover, individuals remaining confined can do a lot of unusual things, such as tidying up the room and cleaning the house, taking up a new hobby or skill, cooking a special dish, watching movies, and more importantly, spending more quality time with the family. In fact, being confined can help us a lot to rethink about ourselves while we are being protected. Right, so I'm going to go back to the same paragraph. Okay, so this is the topic sentence. So saying, if you read this sentence, you understand what I'm talking about next. So all these ideas, they support the topic sentence. And here I have underlined the conjunction, the linking words I have used in this paragraph. We have first, another, benefit of, moreover, such as, to give example, and in fact, to summarize the paragraph, right? It's a concluding sentence. We move on to paragraph number 3, which is the second part of the body, in which we're going to talk about disadvantages. On the other hand, being confined for a period of time is not a good thing for the following reasons. To start with, at a global level, countries are isolated and no boundaries are open. So this has a negative effect on the economy of the country. Again, the quarantine slows down the wheel of a national economy, as most of stores, restaurants, cafes, and public places are closed. Moreover, many people find it difficult to stay in their homes, as several domestic problems arise. Besides, quarantine measures push people to move less and stay home most of the time. This causes frustration for most people, as it causes them a lot of boredom. On top of this, so many people have become jobless because they had to stop working. All in all, confinement is a hard measure to take and undergo. Okay, I'll go back again to the same paragraph. So this is an expression that I used in order to introduce something different of what I have talked about in the previous paragraph. And I have also, so it's the first sentence here, from on the other hand till here, it's a topic sentence. And if you read this topic sentence, it means I'm going to talk about the reasons why confinement is not a good thing. So we have here to start with, this is the cohesive device I have used. We have used to start with. We have again, moreover, besides, okay, on top of this, all in all. So these are expressions or linking words that I have used to link my my pieces together. And the last paragraph is about conclusion. Remember what I have said about conclusion? What do? You just summarize the whole points, right? And you can mention one of the most important points you have discussed in your essay. Simply you wrap up the whole thing. So in a nutshell, this is an expression we use. It means in conclusion, right? To sum up, all in all, quarantine is a difficult and costly measure on both people and the government. However, it's a necessary tactic to do in order to save more lives. Thus, saving a life is better than saving the economy, right? So here we have in a nutshell, however, thus. That means therefore. I hope you have benefited from this sample that I have written for you. And thank you very much. Okay, and don't forget as always to hit the subscribe button below and subscribe for more videos. See you in the next video. Thank you.